Well, wonderful. Thanks so much for joining, everyone. We may have some additional folks joining here, but in recognition of time and how valuable that is, we will get started here and we'll let people join as they are able. So, welcome everyone today to tonight's GVSU Travel Program information session. We're so happy to have you here. Like to just introduce myself really quickly. My name is Susan Proctor, and I have the honor of serving you all and our alma mater as Director of Alumni Relations. And just happy to be here with you today, as well as my guest, Tracy Schenk, who will be presenting with us this afternoon. Tracy is with our travel program partner, Premier World Discovery, and I'll have her introduce herself here soon. Before I turn it over to Tracy, however, I just again wanted to thank you for being with us tonight. And just wanted to say that we're really excited about these two upcoming trips that we're offering in spring to Ireland and next fall to Greece. And we hope they are the start of many trips that we'll be offering to our alumni community moving forward. And we have started this program, it's relatively new. So we did offer one program this past fall, and that was a domestic program. So these will be our first programs that we are offering overseas. And we decided to launch this program as part of our commitment to supporting you, our alums, throughout every stage of your life. Really, we are committed to lifelong learning, and what better way and more adventurous way to do that than through learning about global and international and national cultures, through experiencing the language, the ambiance, the community, the food, and the camaraderie of doing that with fellow Lakers. And so we hope to offer more up in future. And if you have comments on where you would like to continue traveling to, we certainly welcome that as well. And before we begin, just a few Zoom keeping notes here for each of you. So I appreciate you being on mute. We will have ourselves muted while Tracy is speaking. So it's hard sometimes when there's background noise. So appreciate that. But if you do have questions, I invite you to either use the raise hand feature or to type those in the chat, and I'm happy to share those questions. Or else if you're interested in coming off mute and asking a question, please go ahead and do so. We will have some time throughout the presentation officially to allow for questions, but if there's something in particular, just something Tracy is talking about, please, we would like for this to be a conversation and for you to get the answers that you would like out of tonight's session. And without further ado, I would like to turn it over to Tracy. As I mentioned, Tracy Schenk is facilitating tonight's presentation, and she is our program manager for our travel program with Premier World Discovery. Tracy, would you like to share a little bit more about your background before we dive in?
Yes, of course. First, I want to say thank you, Susan, for being so welcoming, and thank you everybody that's here. I'm excited to be partnered with the Grand Valley State University alumni. I'm very honored and humbled to be part of this program. It's exciting. Susan and I met quite a while ago, actually, and she kept saying, "We're planning this. It's coming down. We'll, let you know. I'll let you know." So we were in touch for a really long time, and she had a lot of specific things she wanted to do, and just being able to offer tours to you is really, really exciting. And we work with alumni all over the country, alumni programs like this. So it's just really, really an exciting honor. And I'm thrilled to tell you all about travel. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm going to step into the next slide. So if you've looked at our company, you see that we're based in California. However, I am in Michigan. So I am actually in Livonia, and I'm sitting here in my home in Livonia. So I'm actually our Michigan representative for Premier World Discovery. And I'm born and raised here. I have been doing travel for 34 years. I've been in group travel industry since 1990. So it is a huge part of my life. I've been very lucky to have been all over some pretty amazing places and looking forward to more. But it is certainly a wonderful opportunity. Group travel is really a unique, booming adventure for everybody. And I'll tell you more about how this all works. So the company itself, before I begin, I want to tell you a little bit about Premier. We have been around for 25 years. Um, the reason you have not probably heard of us is because you cannot find us at your local travel agent. You cannot find us anywhere except through programs like this. And we specifically do that for a reason because we want to be a very hands-on customer service group oriented company versus someone who's going to get your mailing information and then market you and email. We'll never ever do that. We'll never ever cross sell you, send you flyers, send you marketing materials. It'll never happen. Everything we do is through our partners, and that's what makes this very special. So the company's based in California, and I do mention that in case you ever need to call the office for anything. Make sure that you remember they're on Pacific Coast time, right? Very important to know we are active members of all the important travel affiliations that are necessary to give us that kind of backbone, right? That's really, really important in our industry. And we have really good, strong ratings with all our affiliations. We do have an outside team and we have an inside team. So I'm on the left here. I'm part of the outside team. We have sales reps all over the country. We usually do work a state or sometimes two states, but our inside team is our backbone, right? They're there to answer your questions, take your reservations, help everything, because nothing goes through the school. Everything comes directly through us. That way, Susan's not trying to answer questions and her staff is doing all that because they're not in the travel industry. It's our job to really take on all that work and make sure that we assist you any way we can. An interesting thing about group travel, and I like to explain group travel a little bit this way. When you're dealing in a group like this, in a group package, there's so many things, like Susan mentioned. It's really about having the opportunity to travel with your peers and like-minded people and your alumni friends and all that, meet new people, right? And then also packaged in a group like this, we have all the puzzle pieces put together at a discounted rate. The bus, the air, the hotels, the meals, the museums, everything we package up is discounted because you're in a group. So the bottom line is a really good value and a really easy way to travel. I love it because for me, I don't have to do any planning, right? I sign up, I just get the information and tell me where to go and what to do, and everything is done for you. So it's really wonderful. We do all your baggage handling, and we want you to have a cultural rich experience depending where you're going and come back home with some really great memories. So that's, group travel is a lot of fun. We do offer cancellation protection, which I will talk about at the end of the presentation. But I do remind people that if you have your own, say you're a traveler, or you have your own insurance, you're certainly welcome to use your own travel insurance. We have no, obviously no problem, but we do offer it in all of our tours. 2 weeks prior to every trip, in the mail, you get a packet. It looks like this. This is mine. I just got back from Italy. I was on a premier tour, and you get a packet in the mail. It's a zipper pouch, and in the zipper pouch are all your documents. And then 2 weeks before the trip, so any of you that are out there maybe going to Ireland, we're going to do a document briefing 2 weeks prior to the trip. And Suzanne or I, one of us, will send you an email, give you the link and all that, the information you need. And then we will go through all your documents together. Make sure you're fully prepared. You know your flight schedule, everything, your hotels, every bit of information you need to know. We will go through in that final meeting. All of our tours we offer are by plane. Now, I mention this because let's say you have alumni friends who aren't living in Michigan anymore. Let's say, or maybe some of you are not living in Michigan anymore. You can still join us. The prices on our tours are based out of Detroit. However, if you're from a different city, all you need to do is call our toll-free number and say, hey, I want to do this trip, but I need to fly out of Chicago or Tampa or wherever you're living. And then we can give you a new price based on a different air city. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's the same. Sometimes it might be a little bit more to fly from a different city, but you can then join the group on the other end. So you don't have to come all the way to Detroit to do this trip. We can fly you from anywhere. Every tour has a professional tour director that is with you from start to finish. And their job is to facilitate everything from the time you arrive until the time you leave. And then, of course, while you're on tour, you'll have local step-on guides and things as well from the areas. We have a deluxe motor coach wherever you're traveling. This is similar to a motor coach you'd be on. Nice large motor coaches. And of course, sometimes in Europe, there's ones that have double doors, one in the front, one in the middle, right? Double loading. But they're lovely and a great driver. Sometimes, you'll have different drivers depending on where you're at. And sometimes you'll have the same driver for the entire trip. We do all your luggage handling. Although this sounds little, I promise you, it is a big deal when you're on tour and you're moving to different hotels to have somebody else handle your bags, right? So it'll be like bags out tomorrow morning at whatever time. They load them up, take them to the bus, and then the only time you are really handling your bags is at the airport. So that's kind of a nice little perk that we also include, just that checked luggage. There are meals on every single tour. Every tour has breakfast daily, and then there are multiple dinners included as well that are written on the itinerary in little letters each day. It'll tell you which meals are included. And then let the fun begin. I will tell you, travel has been booming. It really has. It gives me such joy. I've been through its ups and downs over the past 34 years and never seen anything like it. Our company is just excited. We're actually, venturing out. And I have to say, Susan picked two of the most popular destinations are offering internationally. So very exciting. So let's go ahead and get started and jump to our very first tour. Treasures of Ireland. So I have been lucky enough to have been to Ireland a couple times myself, and it is a country that I would go back again and again. It's very popular for multiple reasons. It's such a friendly place to visit. It is English speaking. The people are joyful and welcoming, kind, and the landscape is quite beautiful. A lot more beautiful than people expect or they're surprised usually when they come back. So this particular trip is April 7th through the 15th. Now the final payment for this is coming up in January. So if this is of interest to you, do not wait. This is a trip. Although April sounds far away, it's really around the corner. So don't miss out. I know we've already got, I think, 10 people signed up already, which is exciting and wonderful. So this is a 9-day tour. This is the map of Ireland showing you kind of where we go. We fly into Dublin, and we do that whole lower circle loop down the west coast and then back to Dublin. And there is a 3-day post extension to Belfast if any of you want to adventure out and add a little longer to the tour. So the tour activity level's a 3. What that means is, 4 is pretty typical, like Greece is a 4, but Ireland's a little bit easier. There will be walking tours, but everything's kind of designed to be an easy paced trip. We're not doing anything that would be physically exhausting by any means, just walking tours. Because as you know, in the old towns and places you visit, a lot of it is walking because the buses can't just drive through the center of these historic towns, right? So you'll arrive in Dublin, usually in the morning, and then you meet your tour director and you kind of have that first day to kind of get settled in. 12 meals included in Ireland, 7 nights accommodation. So 2 nights, 2 nights, 2 nights, and then one last night in Dublin on the very last day. So when you arrive in Dublin, you're usually there late morning and you'll have kind of the day to just relax, walk around. I just had a group come back, and what they did, which I thought was neat, is they hopped on these like double-decker buses and just took cruises around the town, and paid some euro and jumped on and had some fun. So I have some people that spent the morning or afternoon in the pubs. So Dublin has a lot to offer. And I put these pub pictures in here because, again, the pubs in Ireland, this is their life. This is their culture. This is not like going to the bar here in Michigan. This is where they go. This is where they find their people. This is where they socialize and spend their time together. It is magical. And the pubs are beautiful. They're all a little bit different. And sometimes you walk in, there might be live music playing. And even if you're not a drinker, I'm telling you, the pubs are an experience. The food is wonderful. The crowds are wonderful. The people are so, so welcoming. Our hotels in downtown Dublin are lovely. We have Camden, we have Mespeel. I think there's a couple other. We have Academy Plaza, a couple other properties that we use. All very typical modern, accommodations, very lovely, European style. And we have our welcome dinner the first night, and everybody gets a chance to enjoy the pub and just kind of get to know each other. And then everybody crashes the first day. It's a long first day. And next day a city tour of Dublin. Oops, I think I jumped ahead. Including, and again, these are just snippets of the tour. The famous O'Connell Street, which is an iconic area with kind of a big gathering place. There's like obviously your roundabout here. You've got the rivers right in front, and then of course there's souvenir shopping, and that will take you through. And then famous Grafton Street, which I like to compare it to like almost like a mini rodeo drive. It's very upscale and lovely. And surprisingly, the town of Dublin is average age of 30. It has got a wonderful energy about it, just vibrant, exciting. And in lieu of all this history in the town, it's a college town. It's really, really got that great vibe. And I know all of you that, your Grand Valley alumni people, you'll get a good feel for like, wow, this has got a good energy to it, right? Beautiful Christchurch Cathedral, very, very famous. That limestone structures, the inside is magnificent. And same, whether you're religious or not, anyone can appreciate the beautiful stained glass and the lovely architecture and stuff that's here or not. I encourage everybody to go inside and see it. Phoenix Park is in downtown Dublin, similar to like a Central Park in New York. It's got some beautiful, fountains and statues and monuments and things. And it's this beautiful monument in the center of the park as well. And we'll give you some free time all, to kind of browse around. Usually during lunch, we give you free time. The famous Trinity College, the bell tower, which I don't want to give away any of the stories. I could give you all the history because I love it, but I won't. But there's a story about walking underneath this tower here at the beautiful Trinity College. And then we're also going to stop for a quick visit into the library long room. Doesn't this look like something out of Harry Potter? It was absolutely incredible. But what's inside this are the treasures, the Book of Kells, right? These are the gospels that were written by the monks back, hundreds of years ago. The books are all hand painted. They are treasures, right, of Ireland. They were hidden for years when the country was in battle all hundreds of years ago. They hid them, and now they're out on display, and they're just magnificent. Probably one of the most favorite things I've seen in some of the tours I've done. We're also going to do a whiskey distillery tour and tasting for those of you that are a little bit daring, or sniffing. I always say those of you that don't drink whiskey, you can definitely sniff it, because whiskey is a huge part of the Irish culture, and you'll learn about how they make them in the years, and how they get better with age, and in the local whiskeys and things like that as well. And a little bit of the tasting, and again, or smelling, whatever you prefer. You'll get a little flight of things you can taste. It's a lot of fun. Um, the dinner that night will be at a local pub. So again, look at the colors. Do you see how vibrant these are? It is certainly everywhere you go in Ireland, everything's bright and cheerful and colorful and lovely. Next day, we no stop to, you cannot go to Dublin, Ireland without stopping at the Guinness Storehouse. So Guinness, Guinness beer, if you call it beer, Guinness stout, I guess it's a stout. This actual facility was not like the first time I went to Ireland. This wasn't even here. This was an old factory that they turned into this magnificent like museum slash store slash pub. And you get an opportunity to learn how it's made, meet the locals, and maybe even have a sip, of Guinness, try some Guinness stout. I love it, and I don't even drink beer, so I really, really enjoy Guinness. It's frothy and delicious and refreshing. So after we leave the Dublin area, now keep in mind that's just a snippet, right? There's so much more. But after we leave the Dublin area, we're going to take you to the town of Limerick. And Limerick, of course, as you can see, is right on the river. It's a kind of an old new town, so you'll see a little bit of the newer, but you don't have sky rises and things in Limerick. Everything's very low and very, very lovely. But they work really hard to keep the nuance of like the old feel of these old Irish villages, but yet it's a town, right? So Limerick has some wonderful history to it. There is the lovely St. Mary's Cathedral. And again, you're going to see lots of these beautiful old cathedrals. Interestingly enough, too, when you drive through Ireland, there are no such thing as like highways, like big highways, 10-lane express lanes like we have here. It's all very like 2-lane roads and small highways and things to get around. And you'll see on the sides of the roads all kinds of ruins and old castles and things, because in Ireland, they don't believe in tearing down another man's work. So that's why these structures stand and they're so beautiful everywhere you go. Limerick has the treaty stones. The big in Limerick was a big peace treaty here in this community. You'll learn this history without giving it away. King John's Castle, unbelievably, I mean, the structures, then how they stood the test of time is mind blowing here, right? So you'll see King John's Castle, learn all the history of the town of Limerick. And then we're going to spend a couple nights in Limerick. We have a few different hotel options that we have that you'll know when you get closer which hotel, but they're all a great location. We're going to take you also to the Bunratty Folk Castle, or no, we have two different castles. This is the one we use the most. They're both they offer the same experience where you go inside and do a medieval banquet. So you'll have an opportunity to get some laughter, hear some jokes, some singing, maybe some harp playing, maybe a little audience participation, and it is just magnificent. And then day 5, we're staying in Limerick to be close to probably one of the most awe-inspiring things I have ever seen. And I think because I wasn't expecting to see this in Ireland, it was so absolutely beautiful. But the Cliffs of Moher, and I'm telling you, if you look close to these pictures, those are houses down there, all those little houses back there. It is 700-foot cliffs that are just absolutely, you walk up to it and you lose your breath. It's magnificent. To give you an idea, that little at the top of that cliff there, that's a castle right at the point there. It's just amazing. Rugged sea crashing on the sides. It's awesome. After we leave that beautiful, mountainous water like sea, we're going to go to the Burren. This is a part of Ireland. It's a complete mystery. Nobody really knows why the landscape looks the way it does, but it is kind of beautiful in its own right, right? It's different. It's got animals, plant life, and wildlife that actually survive and live here, and they don't know how. It's just such a rugged area. And there's a lot of good stories about this area back in history as well. And we're also going to visit on day 5 the town of Galway. Now, this is where my family is from. Lovely town of Galway. The biggest building in Galway is the church. So very similar though. You're going to find those brick streets, those friendly pubs, a little bit different feel. Every town you go to is a little bit different. The flags and the colorful buildings are all the same. The pubs are the same. Lots of shopping. And what happens is when we get to these towns, it's usually around the time where, okay, everybody, we're going to do lunch on your own and then do some shopping, and we'll meet you back at the bus at whatever time, right? So you get to explore Galway and just see this vibrant town. And it's very quaint, and take in some of the sights. St. Nicholas Cathedral, lovely right in the center of town. Again, if you love churches and Gothic structures and stained glass, this is certainly something you want to peek inside. Ayr Square, you can see the beautiful fountain in the center. This is where you feel that, again, modern. Ireland does a good job of throwing in a little bit of modern mixed with old and historic. So it's lovely. We'll stop at Adair Village, and I love this town. It is known for some unique treasures, some of these beautiful shops and pubs there, but I love the thatched roofed cottages. So you'll see a lot of these flower boxes and the flowers and the thatched roof cottages. And of course, the Holy Trinity Abbey Church in Adair is lovely to see. And then, of course, just walking around seeing these cottages is just breathtaking. And flowers in April should be just a beautiful time to go. After we pass through Adair, we're on our way from Limerick to Killarney. Now, Killarney is probably one of the most beloved towns in all of Ireland. Everyone's like, oh, you got to go to Killarney and see Killarney. It is lovely. Again, tallest building's always going to be the church steeple, right? It's got these lovely, quaint downtown area, very, very clean, very lovely. But this town is beloved for so many reasons. It's probably the most popular visited next to Dublin town in all of Ireland. And I don't know what it is about it. There's this charm, maybe because it's got the horse and carriages cruising through town and whatever, but you are going to leave town on a jaunting horse-drawn, jaunting car ride, and you are going to go through the national forest because the Killarney National Park is right there. So you'll take this beautiful jaunting car ride get some lovely pictures, and get an opportunity to enjoy the scenery around you, and then end up at the Muckross House. So the Muckross House is the Herbert family summer getaway home for the weekend, right? This is their summer cottage, believe it or not, but it is now a museum. You get to walk inside, outside, take in the gardens, walk around. The horses and carriages will drop you off and then pick you back up. So it's like a circle ride all the way to and from. The gardens are lovely. And of course, you'll have time to enjoy that. And then we're going to do a traditional Irish entertainment with some dinner and live music. That's always a lot of fun. And then we're going to check in for our 2 nights in Killarney. And we have, again, a couple different properties. Very lovely, very quaint, very welcoming, great location. And then we're going to visit the Ring of Kerry. So this drive goes all day. Really, you leave in the morning, you do this full circle through all these beautiful sights. You're going to drive the Ring of Kerry, and you want to have your cameras ready because you're going to see some beautiful scenery through the ring. You're going to cut through McGillicuddy Reeks. You're going to, this is all in the Ring of Kerry. The Dingle Bay Peninsula, which is a lot of these little islands out there, the little Aran Islands out in the sea. You see a lot of those rocks again. And then, of course, the Dingle Peninsula is mountainous. And again, people don't picture Ireland to be so mountainous and beautiful, but it really is. There are beaches in Ireland, believe it or not. The hottest, usually on average, that it gets in Ireland in July is like 57 degrees. So it may be 60, 62 at the most. It's not known to get hot and balmy. So beaches aren't a big social thing. But what's nice about them is they're not all built up with hotels and resorts and stuff, right? It is absolute beautiful areas. You'll stop in a couple towns. Waterville and Sneem are a couple of the towns. So the drive is kind of stop and go, right? We stop and go for pictures. We stop and go to some of these villages. And it's an all-day experience. The Ladies View, and then Carey's Gap. This is also a unique area that you see the rainbow down there at the bottom. That's one thing. A lot of my people come back and they're like, we saw rainbows. And I'm like, yep, we saw lots of rainbows. It's just a thing. I'm telling you, it's magical, truly, truly magical. Now, on our way back to Dublin, so we're heading our way back to Dublin, we do make a stop at the famous Blarney Castle. So the Blarney Castle, if you may have guessed, right, is you kiss the stone and you get the gift of gab, or the gift of eloquence, right? So as you can tell, I've kissed the stone twice, so I like to talk a lot. But going inside this castle, it's mossy and mysterious, and maybe not all of you can make the climb because there's these rugged stone steps. When you get up to the top, and I kid you not, when you go to kiss the Blarney Stone, at the top, my picture at the top there is the actual Blarney Stone. Do you see that slab of white stone? That's the Blarney Stone. I know people don't know what it looks like, but that's it. So you lay on your back, and they literally, somebody's job to hold up tourists so you can slide underneath there and kiss the Blarney Stone. And the drop off under your head is probably, I don't know, 50 or 100 feet, something like that. It is a really, really cool experience. Or it's fun to just watch other people do it and get a kick out of it. So it's kissing the Blarney Stone. Then you'll have time to visit the woolen mills in that area for some lovely shopping, wool items and souvenir items and crystal and all kinds of really neat things, jewelry and that as well. It's really a lovely day. Then you'll head to Dublin at night, well, early evening, and then we'll check into one of our famous castles. We have a few different castles that we use. These two are the Trim Castle, the Dunboy, the top corners there, and lovely property. And at one point, part of it was probably a castle, and then they turned it into a hotel, right? And then you've got your farewell dinner, and it's a great way to get everybody back together to just kind of bid farewell and talk about their memories and just have a nice, lovely evening. Now, on day 9, you have two choices. You can either return home, like that's it, you're good, you've seen enough, you go back on day 9 and you do not do the post extension, or we offer a 2-night, 3-day post extension up to Belfast. So if you want to see more of Ireland, now keep in mind, Northern Ireland is British rule, right? So when you get up to Northern Ireland, the money's different. They have the British sterling pound, whereas the euro is down in the Dublin and everywhere else. But this is a unique experience, and with years and years, for hundreds of years, Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland really were, I don't want to say a battle, but really the Protestants, the Catholics, the whole thing. And it's all been at peace for many, 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 many years now. And so going to Belfast is an amazing experience because you get an opportunity to see some of the beautiful buildings, take a city tour, and I'll show you what we're going to do, some of it. So here's what Belfast looks like. Again, I think that Ireland does such a great job of, although they keep the old historic alive, they do a beautiful job of keeping even the modern still looking very lovely and welcoming. So here's the modern part of Belfast. Again, it's old and new all mixed together. And you'll see some of the famous sites there, like the Belfast Castle, which, remember, through all the battles and all the wars and everything that's happened, to have these structures still standing and so beautiful and such a big part of their iconic buildings in these towns, right? Look at the city hall in Belfast. It's a magnificent structure, absolutely beautiful. The Cathedral of St. Anne, again, these beautiful, rugged, beautiful churches. And then a big part of this trip includes the Titanic Museum. You know, the last port the Titanic was at was Belfast before it took off for its fateful final sailing, right? So they do an amazing job with this replica of the staircase, and then also all the what the rooms would look like, the different people that were on the ship, whether they lived, whether they didn't live, and how that felt like to be in the upper class on the ship, and also cabins that might have been the working class, right? And the different artifacts and things that they have. So quite amazing. Also, if you take this extension, the Giant's Causeway is part of it as well. This is I don't really know how to describe this. It is a mysterious, rocky, rugged area. I think it's formed through volcano back in maybe sometime in the past, but look at the rock formations. Some people say, oh, aliens, it's from aliens. There's all kinds of theories of what this is. So you can go to the visitor center and see this magnificent structure and make a decision what you think what it is. But if you do the post extension, then you come home on day 12. So, again, instead of 9, you come back on day 12. So here are the details of the trip and the flyer. I know you can click a link and get a copy of the flyer, but just to show you, and this comes right off the flyer, April 7th through the 15th. This is the 9-day tour. The regular price, is $45.25. And then we offer a booking discount, and this applies for both trips. If you can make your final payment, we accept credit cards, no fees whatsoever. You are absolutely welcome to use a credit card. It's easy. You might want to get points. You might have insurance through your card. But if you can make your final payment by check, we will, on time, by check, we will discount your trip $100 per person if you can do that, because we do not charge any credit card fees. So this is kind of like those that use checks. We just give them a little kickback as a thank you for using a check if possible. Not required. You can use a credit card for the entire thing. You're welcome. Single supplement is $750. So what that means is, if you are a single traveler without a roommate and you want to be a single traveler, have your own room in your own space, it is an additional $750 on the price of the trip to have your own room. And recently I just went to Italy and paid the single. I wanted my own space. So, and they're really affordable. Here in the States, the single supplement is much more expensive than overseas. So it's actually a good value. And then the post extension price for your 12, it shouldn't say 11 days, it's really actually 12 days, would be $899. And then the additional singles 400. So $899 plus the regular rate is what it would be if you want to add Belfast. And you need to tell us when you sign up for the trip. Originally, let us know. Yes, it'll ask you on the form if you want Belfast, and you check yes or no. And then the final balance that'll be included. So space is first come, first serve, and it's limited. Don't wait. Ireland, it's coming up so quickly. It's going to sell out quickly. I'm sure for Christmas, people are going to be giving trips away and things. So don't wait. The deposit is 600. Final payment's 90 days. That's 3 months prior. So that would be the January? Yeah, January. So early January's final payment. And then the travel protection, again, I'll talk about that later, but the travel protection is $399. If you want the travel protection, you must purchase that with your deposit. So then your deposit would become $999. Okay, so the insurance information is on the flyer, and I will talk about it at the end of the meeting. But I was wrong about the weather. I'm so sorry. I was off by 10 degrees. So the hottest it gets in Dublin is 67 degrees, but going in April, you're in the mid 50s. And as you can see in the winter, it doesn't ever get like our winter. So to explain weather, this is really helpful for you to see kind of what the weather looks like when you're traveling there. And we're Michiganders, and well, at least at some point you're all Michiganders, so you'll know kind of what 50 degrees feel like. So euros is the money in northern Southern Ireland, and then of course over the Northern Ireland is the British pound sterling. So, and as we get closer, we talk about all that in the final meeting. Passports are required. They must be valid for up to 6 months beyond the travel date. So you must look at those expiration dates, make sure that they're still good and that they'll be good for 6 months beyond your travel dates. If you need to get that renewed, don't wait. So magical. I promise you, the experience in Ireland is always just people come back like, wow, Ireland's so amazing. I want to go back, right? So it's just one of those countries. Are there any questions in the anything in the chat for me before I move on to Greece? Anything, Susan?
Don't see any questions now, but certainly offer the opportunity for folks to come off of mute if you have any questions. And Tracy, you've done such a wonderful job of
I get excited.
quickly going through that
Thank
amazing experience and sharing that. If you would
you.
prefer to type those in the chat, you may do so as well. And I did just drop the link for the flyer as well as the online web booking code if you'd rather go and do that online in the chat.
Perfect. Thank you, Susan. All right, let's move on then, because we're going to talk about another country that I've been to that I'm waiting to go back. And I think it's on Susan's bucket list too. She's been talking about this one as well. So oh my goodness, Athens in the Greek Isles. I have to tell you, folks, this has been a hot destination. I mean, everyone's going, everyone's talking about it. It is certainly been a really, really big, exciting adventure. Now, this again, my PowerPoint, and forgive me, I have to shrink it down as short as I can, but I could sit here for days and show you pictures of Greece. And same with Ireland. Like, I love them both. But this trip is October 14th through the 22nd of 2025. And the reason we're doing this almost a year in advance is really to your benefit. We want to give you time to think about it and plan and save and right and be prepared for this and tell all your friends, right? We were saying like if you have friends that live out of state, and I assume, Susan, if they're bringing a guest, it doesn't have to be an alumni, right? They could, okay, good. So yeah, we're welcome everybody. This is also a 9-day tour with a post extension, which I'll talk about. So this is an activity level 4. We're flying in and out of Athens, Greece. And when I say an activity level 4, that means if you have a walker, if you have a cane, if you're in a wheelchair, I would not recommend this trip because it is a lot of walking, but on unlevel ground, right? You're going through archaeological digs and you're going to see things that are a little bit more historic and rugged and nothing that you can't handle. If you're able, if you walk and you're able to get around, it'll be easy. Remember, our trips are geared for the active adult, right? So my 86-year-old mom could do this one. I know it's a 4, but she has her walking stick. She just did Pompeii and in Italy. I know she could do, but again, she's very active. So get those steps in now. Start exercising, getting ready for next October because there's a lot to see and do. So same thing, you'll arrive in Athens. Now I want you to take a close look at that picture. Isn't that magnificent? That's the city and that's the Acropolis up at the top, the highest point in the city. You'll have a tour director and of course you'll have local guides on this trip as well. You've got 10 meals included on this trip and lots of great dining. And then 7 nights accommodations, 2 nights, 2 nights, 2 nights, 1 night, just like Ireland, almost that same move. And again, remember, we're moving your luggage for you. So it's really just you loading up a bus and moving on to the next place. And to see it all, you have to move around. You just have to. In some places you don't, but these countries you do. So these are the types of hotels we have. The Wyndham, the Devani, the Grand Hyatt. Our hotels are lovely. I mean, lovely. The pictures on top are the outside and the pictures beneath are one of each from the inside. So you can see they're just lovely. We have a welcome dinner for everybody just to get acquainted and get your bearings and stay awake and try to kind of struggle through jet lag. And then we do our Athens city tour. And I'm going to tell you, folks, when I did this trip, I was, there were just no words to describe what you see when you are in Greece. There are no words. It's just absolutely mind-blowing history in it just coming alive before your eyes. It's incredible. The Syntagma Square is a very iconic square where a lot of the like community government speeches and announcements and gatherings take place here in Syntagma Square. And gosh, I wrote down Syntagma means something, and I had it written down and I meant to tell you, but there's that actually means something, that word, and it's for gathering in the town, in the community. So in the town itself, mixed in with this modern city, are these temples just mixed in there. It's just crazy. You're driving around on a bus and boom, there's a temple. It's the Temple of Zeus right in town. The Pantheonic Olympic Stadium, which was built hundreds of years ago, but they've redid it for the, I think, 1984 Olympics, I think it was. No, 2004, excuse me, 2004 Olympics were held here. So everything's been updated, but this is all marble. It is the only stadium made of marble. So you'll see a lot of marble. And then, of course, the Parthenon on the Acropolis. Now, notice the Acropolis is the highest point in the city. And to get up there, do you see the land? Do you see the landscaping? This is, you have to, the bus can only go so far. The bus can't take you to the top. So you get as far as you can to like a viewing platform. And some people don't walk all the way to the top. Some people just get to that point and they're like, I'm good, I see it. But if you want to get up in there, believe it or not, at the top of the Acropolis is the Erechtheion, the Temple of Athena Nike, and the Propylaea, and the, all this is on top of the Acropolis, right? So it's not just the the one structure that we all know and love, the Colosseum, but also these are up there as well, and they're beautiful. And I have to tell you, they've done some reconstructing, obviously, as time takes its toll, but look at these magnificent structures at the top of the Acropolis. So here's kind of a view of of the top of the Acropolis, and then the town all around it. You can see just how everything kind of circles around it. It's incredible. But for those of you that love museums and love history and want to learn more, right? We're going to take you into the Acropolis Museum. This is not only an archaeological dig, but they also have treasures in this museum that were found and dug up in the Athens area and up on the Acropolis. So it's a current archaeological dig, and then you walk around and you'll see, statues and, beautiful pottery and gorgeous things that you'll see, all kinds of knickknacks and things that have been discovered and found and uncovered. So just awesome. We're also going to visit the town of Plaka. Plaka is actually right at the foot of the Acropolis, and it's a perfect spot for shopping and lunch and free time. Check this out. I remember that little store to the right there, I was shopping in there, and all these dogs and cats, they just live in the community, were coming around, and they were kind of really fun, just watching the locals and all the, just everything that happens around you, all the action. It's just really, really cool. And then we're going to take you, we're going to leave Athens, and we're going to get on a high-speed ferry from Athens to Santorini. Now, the ferry rides, I think this one's about 4 hours, right? Yeah, this one's 4 to 4.5 hours to get out to this magnificent island of Santorini, the lost city of Atlantis, possibly what they think. But check this out. As you take the ferry and you pull up to this island, you are absolutely astounded by the beauty. You see those bright colored buildings, everything's up on the hill, and you pull up, and if you really look down to the water, you can see how grand this view is. And again, from pictures don't do it justice. It's something you have to see. And those beautiful blue domed churches and buildings and things, and the sea is so blue. We're going to take you to Santorini for some wine tasting. It's known because the earth is so ashy and is so much from volcanic action throughout, years and years. The land is actually the perfect soil to make wine. So it's very, very different than what you have here. So we'll do some wine tasting and relaxation. I just had a group come back in October and they were literally sending me pictures of them drinking wine and sitting, by the sea. And I was very jealous. And then also is Ia Village. We'll take you into the favorite Ia. This is where, look at this community and how they live, all stacked on each other. And in Ia Village, you'll see the windmills and you'll kind of walk around. It's very clean and it's very welcoming, and the shopping is lovely, right? And keep in mind, when you're going there in October, it's shoulder season. When you go there in June, July, August, it is 100 degrees with a zillion people. When you go in October, it might be 72 degrees, 75 degrees, and maybe half a zillion people, a lot less people. We really work hard to get you there when you're not there in the peak, because back in October, all the kids are back in school, families are back home, everybody's done touring, and that's when we take you, when it's a really good time to go. So you'll really love Ia. It's gorgeous. I mean, you're walking through these little stone streets and people live in there and that as well. And then we're going to check in 2 nights into our hotel. Look at these hotels. I'm just going to tell you, it's like paradise. And I did get pictures of people sitting by the pool as well. Very jealous. They were sending, I think they were rubbing it in, actually, to be honest with you. And you're also going to have a day at leisure in Santorini, which you want because you're going to go, 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 go. And then we know it's time to have a down day. There's so much. For those of you that love museums, there's prehistoric Thera that's there, the Museum of Thera. And again, it is an ancient archaeological dig. You are literally standing over it on platforms looking down into a town, a village, an actual excavation site. For those of you that love to shop, here you go. Santorini is another wonderful place to spend your money, spend your time, have a glass of wine, enjoy. Or if you want to go to the beach, you can certainly spend time at the beach, which just lovely volcanic beaches. And then, or you can sit around and enjoy some quiet time, get something to eat, and just decompress a little bit. And then on day 6, we're going to take the high-speed ferry from Santorini to Mykonos. This ferry is not as long. I want to say maybe an hour, hour and a half at the most, and then look at Mykonos. And the water in this picture, as blue as it looks, it's even bluer when you get there. And then the stark difference of the white buildings, the whitewash, and the blue water and the sea is just magnificent. So we're going to spend 2 nights in Mykonos. So again, lovely hotels. Bring your swimsuits because you'll want to stick your toes in the sand and enjoy this wonderful area. And you're going to have, a tour of Mykonos, and then you're going to have a day at leisure in Mykonos as well. It's a good stopping point for some shopping, and there's the harbor, and there's cafes, and there's just so much to see and do. Now, I will tell you this: if you're a night owl, this is your place to visit because the Greeks are night owls. They will eat dinner late. They call it like they siesta all day. They rest all day, and then they go out at night, and then that's when the city comes to life. So if you like nightlife, it's definitely a lot of fun for those of you. Then we'll take a ferry over to Delos. Now, Delos is, and I wish I had my notes because they're in here if I had this in a different screen, I could show you, but Delos is actually, as you can see, a prehistoric town. You take the ferry there and you can see the actual, the temple of Apollo and the temple of Artemis. They are the 2 sons of Zeus. So you hear these names in ancient history, right? These 2 temples are dedicated to Apollo and Artemis. And you'll learn all the history. There is the ancient theater, Temple of Isis, and then down in the ancient theater down there, that you learn stories. It's where they used to do religious gatherings and social gatherings and theater gatherings, and any type of anything in ancient Greece would be at the ancient theater, and you can actually walk down there and see it. It's awesome. The Terrace of the Lions. There were originally 12, possibly 16 of these lions that were put up to protect the sons, right? Apollo's sons there, and these are replicas. There are some that are still remaining in the museum that you will get to see. And then the Sacred Way was like the entrance into the town. Look at that. It's like a walkway right into the town, and it led into, this magnificent city that once was, right? So we're going to take you to the Archaeological Museum, and that's where you're going to see the artifacts and a couple of the original lions and parts of the, things that were dug up and found there that were treasures that they had to move into this museum to keep them safe, right? And then we're day 7 back in Mykonos. We go Delos back, and that is a short ferry ride to get to Delos. And then our last trip back to Athens will be another ferry ride from Mykonos to Athens. And they're big ferries. I mean, they're just big, giant. I think when we went on them, we ate, we played cards, we kind of visited and just enjoyed the ferry rides, right? And then our last night in Athens is pretty magical because you'll have some free time. You'll have a day at leisure in Athens. We always get you there a day before you're leaving, so we're not rushed and missing our flights, right? So you'll have that extra day to do some shopping in Athens, maybe see the changing of the guards, maybe do some museums, whatever you want to do. The guide's there to kind of help you and direct you if you need that as well. There's so much to see and do while you're there, and just within walking distance as well. But at night, it's magical because everything's illuminated. So the whole, the Acropolis is all lit up, and you can see these just beautiful structures and things at night before heading home. And again, maybe find a nice place. We have our farewell dinner. Everybody will be together for that, and you can have your farewell dinner and say goodbye to Greece. Or you could take the post extension. So if you don't want the post extension, if your 9 days is enough for you, you fly home on day 9 and the tour ends. However, we do offer a 3-night, 4-day post extension to Delphi and Kolombaka. So this is an area to visit, and I'll show you some beautiful pictures, but certainly something to see that's a different part of Greece that would really be very enchanting and beautiful, very mountainous. Kolombaka, as you can see, is a town built down in the valley of the mountains, but these are like big rock mountains. They're stone mountains, and they're just got these beautiful structures. And then we'll take you to see the Meteora monasteries. Now, the monasteries were built by monks. Some of them are still used to this day. Some of them are convents where nuns live. Many of them were destroyed through World War II, which is very, very sad. Some of them are abandoned. You'll learn the story of each one. They each have a name to them. Wait, I think I skipped one. Yep. They each have a name. One of them, and it's one that's up on a rock. There was a James Bond movie. If you remember seeing, like they hang from the helicopters and hang over. One of them is used for filming, but they're all quite lovely. And really, people wonder, how in the world did they build these? How did they build these all these years ago out on these rocks like that? It's a mystery. You see them? There's tons of them. So they're all have their own unique purpose and their own name. But look at the snow-capped mountains in the back of that picture. I mean, it's incredible. It is a beautiful area to visit. Here's another monastery. Just lovely. So when you go through Kolombaka, we'll take you from Kolombaka to Delphi, and you can see, look at this landscape here, and these just little roads and journeys through the mountainous areas and these towns. We'll stop in modern Delphi, so you'll see like the new town of Delphi, and then of course you will get over on a bus, and they'll take you out to ancient Delphi. So this is all part of the tour. I think when I went, what I loved about this area is the views, right? You're looking at the sanctuary of Apollo here in this ancient Delphi, overlooking this mountainous, gorgeous area. And you can imagine what it was like living in this town at one time, right? Look at their amphitheater. I mean, I have a picture of me standing at the very, very bottom of this with my arms out. I ran down there and got a picture, and then the whole mountain behind me. It's just, I've been trying to find that picture because I have it somewhere, but just an incredible history. And again, also a museum. You will go inside, have time to tour the museum and see the treasures that they found in this area. And then we'll do also from Delphi, we'll go to Cape Sunion, surrounded by water. I mean, look at these beautiful structures. And keep in mind, they have done a great job of, although they reinforce them, they really try to keep them looking rugged and that as well. But here's one of the most famous along with, you know, the Acropolis and all the things up there, this is the Temple of Poseidon, and he is the god of the sea, right? So they have all these gods that they pray to, and the god of the sea is a big one. The sea is their life, right? So Poseidon was a very, very important, you know, god there, and it's a really, really beautiful scene. And then you go back that last night and spend your last night from Cape Sunion back to Athens and spend the night there, just so we can fly home, you know, the next day. So if you take the extension, you would then fly home on day 12. So 9, 10, 11, 12, yes. And then Ireland, I was wrong, it's day 11. So Ireland's like you come back on the 11th day. This one is 1 day longer. So here are the details, excuse me. October 14th through the 22nd of next year. The 9-day tour price is $51.49. Booking discount applies if, again, you make your final payment by check on time. We will deduct $100, but you might want to use a credit card for everything. That's fine. You might get more points or more, you know, more kickbacks if you use your credit card. Absolutely up to you. The single supplement is $11.50, and then the post extension goes 12 days. The post extension is an additional $10.99, and then of course the single's $4.50. So this is all on the flyer. I know Susan will share all this information with you, but there's a registration form as well. $600 deposit, final payment 90 days prior, and then the travel protection again is $399, which must be purchased with your initial deposit. Okay, so let's get into, so if final payment's 90 days, about 3 months, what would that be? Maybe September? No, August, July, August, September, October, July, August. Yeah, probably like July, mid-July is final payment of next year. So if you make the deposit, you don't have to worry or think about anything till next year. And here's our lovely temperatures. Um, my girlfriend was there in July, and it was 100 degrees this year. And I know quite a few people that were there. Trust me, you do not want to be there. It was so crowded, she couldn't even get into the shops. This is beautiful travel temperatures, lovely time to go. Crowds are a lot less, and again, those temperatures are just lovely. The money is the euro, so nice and easy to use. We're all pretty familiar if you've been. Passports must be valid up to 6 months beyond the return date, so make sure to check those expiration dates. And then, of course, the ancient history is mysterious and exquisite and mind-blowing. I promise you, it is. Every day is different from the last, everything you're seeing and doing. So the big question, how do I sign up for these trips? So again, everything comes directly to our office. We have a whole team of people waiting to help you and assist you. All the details are found on the back of the flyer. So, and I know you'll have it in an email form, but just the very last page, deposit, final payment, travel protection, how much, what's included in the travel protection. There's even a little block at the bottom that says cancellation fees. Those are if you don't buy the insurance, those are your cancellation fees. So all this information is on here. It does ask which air city you're flying out of. So if it's faster for you to go to Grand Rapids and you fly out of Grand Rapids, these prices I think are based out of Grand Rapids. I'm pretty sure that's what our air is out of. But if you want to go to Detroit or you're from out of state, let us know what air city that you're flying out of, and then we will adjust the prices accordingly. So on the back of each flyer is reservation information. So I put them both on here to just talk a little bit about this. So there's a bunch of ways that you can register for this trip. You can mail it in with your form, credit card information on there. You can scan it over, right? You can just go on our website, scan it. You can call our toll-free number about noon. Remember, it's California. There's a toll-free number on the back of the flyer. You can call our office and book it direct if you'd like to talk to someone, or simply go on our website, which is just HTTPS reservations. It's all right there. And there on the top left corner of your form or your flyer is a booking number or web code. You can literally register online, super easy on a computer, fill out all the information, use the booking number, have the flyer handy if you do that, because you'll need the dates and all that information. The Greece booking number, same. All that is very much the same for us. If you're making checks, make checks payable to Premier World Discovery and you can send them in. If you're going to mail anything to California, you may consider FedEx, UPS, or the post office in priority mail, something like that, just to make sure that your check is tracked so that it, you would know where it is. Then we talked a little bit about this. So the booking discount, again, $100 per person, $200 per couple, if you can make that final payment by check. If you do make the final payment by check, on your final invoice, it'll show that on there. If you make it by check, you get a $100 discount, that type of thing. And then you can decide how you want to pay. Whatever's best for you is fine. Couple things to remind you. The first star, deposit and travel protection are fully refundable up until 180 days prior. So we're already past that for Ireland, but for Greece, from now until April, like 180 days is 6 months. So you're gonna have to calculate those days, put that on your calendar. But from now until April, you are fully refundable insurance and your deposit. So keep that in mind. If you paid, say you pay your deposit now and then something comes up, a wedding or something you weren't expecting next October and you have to cancel, just make sure you do it before that 180 days to get everything back. Inside of 180 days, if you buy the insurance, your deposit is 100% fully refundable up until the final payment. Your insurance of $399 will become a future travel credit that's good for a full year. Okay. Future travel credit is valid for 12 months from the departure date, not the date you cancel. So we'll have a future travel credit. If you don't buy the insurance, you still won't lose your deposit. If you don't buy the insurance and you have to cancel before the final payment, we're still going to give you that deposit in a future travel credit to use in the future. Okay, so that's pretty nice and lenient. Here's our insurance. Again, $399 is the cost. If you have your own insurance, compare apples to apples. Make sure that you know that you're getting a really good policy. Ours are great. It's through USI, who many travel partners use, but it covers you up to fully refundable if you had a medical emergency right up until the morning of the trip. You could cancel and you get everything back but the cost of the insurance. So long as you have documentation, all we need is a doctor's note saying you cannot travel, then you and your roommate or your spouse both fall under the cancellation. You get 100% of your money back except the cost of the insurance. If your roommate still wants to go, there's the single supplement that they would have to cover and they could still go if the roommate still wants to travel. Other than that, if you don't buy the insurance, then the cancellation fees are on the back of the flyer. And if you buy the insurance and you cancel for any reason other than a medical reason, just something suddenly comes up, you can cancel up until, 48 hours prior and you get 75% back in a future travel credit. So we still give you something back even if you cancel for any other reason. And again, this is all on the back of the flyer, but the best part too about this is you have post insurance, meaning once you leave your airport, once you fly out, you have trip interruption, baggage delay, medical emergency coverage, and emergency travel assistance, as most medical coverages do not cover you overseas. Most do not, unless you have a waiver, or some kind of an extra overseas coverage. So it's good for peace of mind. Again, if you have your own insurance, that's great. Feel free to look into that. But certainly don't miss out on the opportunity to get travel protection, especially if you're planning that far in the future. So and then I'm going to let Susan step in now and talk about reserve your spot. You've got a nice little QR code here. Talk a little bit about that, and then we'll see if we have any questions from anybody.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And yes, I definitely still have that on my bucket list and even more excited. So thank you for going over details there. Does anyone have any questions about the trip, about securing space, about timelines, or anything that we did not cover today? Just wanted to give folks the opportunity to ask those questions. Selena, I see that you have your hand raised. Welcome you to come off mute and ask your question.
Hi, yes, thank you. I had a quick question. I don't know if you know this or not, but for the hotels in Greece and for the breakfast and dinner um, portions, do you know if there are gluten-free food accommodations that they have available at the hotels?
That's a really good question. We would like you to give us that heads up in advance, and then we let our tour guide know so that they can let our restaurants know that we have dietary needs, and then they will do their best to give you options to accommodate your the gluten-free diet. So they just have to know in advance. That's really our best advice. Obviously, here in the U.S., it's we just say it, and there's a separate menu for you and all that. But over there, it's a little different. We just need to be aware what your allergies are. If you register, I would, send them in on a note, something like that, so that we make note in our system. And then they will accommodate, do the best they can to accommodate. Sometimes if you go to little cafes and things, you might have to get creative and look at the
Mhm.
menu and find something that could accommodate when you're on your own. But if it's something, a meal with the group, then we will definitely to accommodate you and give you options. That's a good
Okay,
question.
perfect. Thank you. And I did have one more question as
Sure.
well. Um, is there a way to accommodate three in a room? I know that it was the two double in a
Hmm.
room, but is there a way to accommodate three for the hotels?
There is a triple supplement. I think it's a deduction of like $50 less per person for a triple.
Okay.
Um, the only tricky thing with a triple is usually the beds in European hotels are going to be two twin beds in a room. If we do a triple, I know they'll do their best to find a room that might have three beds in it or throw in a third, like a cot, something like that. So that would certainly, it's available. And I know we can look at I'm pretty sure it's $50 deduction per person that's in the room. But again, that's why it's just we don't not that we don't allow it or welcome it. It's just the rooms are a little bit tighter, but yes, you can do
Okay.
that. Hmm.
Thank you.
Sure.
And
Triples are fun.
I thought I saw another hand, maybe Lane, if I'm saying that correctly, or Laney.
Yeah, hi. I just took it down actually because I was just gonna ask if you were traveling with somebody, if you could choose to be in a room with them. I just wanted to confirm, but I think I got it from her question, so I'm all set.
Good, good, good.
Thank you.
Yeah, on the forms, it does ask you who your roommate is. And if you're traveling with a roommate, you put the names down and give us that information. And the more information, the better. A lot of times what'll happen is one person will register for the other person, but we'd love to have both emails. The best way to communicate is to have both emails, make sure you have everyone's emails so that Susan and I can communicate with everyone individually.
Thank you.
Any- Yeah, of course. Anything else?
Well, and Tracy and I are happy to stay on here too if folks decide they have questions, or certainly feel free to shoot us an email. You all should have gotten confirmation, so our email is on there. If you have questions to follow up, we will be sending a follow-up email with links to download the flyers, or we'll be happy to mail flyers to you if you haven't received those previously and follow up. But just really wanted to invite you all to help me in thanking Tracy for sharing her wisdom and energy. I really so appreciate that you've been on a lot of these trips and can really add that flair, and for all of the coordination you do. And I thank you all for joining us. Your evenings are I know it's hard sometimes to sneak away, so we appreciate you spending some time with us and your interest in traveling. And also, just a follow up, if there are other trips, there are so many to choose from that you're interested in taking at any point in time in the future, please let me know. And I will see, if we can arrange those with Tracy or others to allow that. So if you have interest, we will definitely look into offering those either in future or in an upcoming cycle. Generally, the trips that we're seeing are usually on those shoulders, as Tracy talked about, March or April, October, November timeframes each year. And so happy to take a look at those for future in 2025 or beyond.
Yep. And there are some that only go in the summer, some countries, some places. So it depends on the destination. One other thing I do want to mention is that Susan recorded this meeting So we're in luck because any of your friends who said, oh, I forgot, or oh, I wanted to watch that, or I couldn't make it, we do have a recording. So that is very helpful. So it's certainly, I know Susan will share that link as well, because that is super, even if you came to the meeting tonight and it's just a lot, right, to process, it's not a bad idea to have that video and be able to go back and listen and watch it again, because this has been, it's exciting. It really is exciting. And you can tell by how I talk about these trips, travel is my thing, right? It's my passion. So, and I certainly want to share that with all of you. So thank you for your time.
Yes, great point. Thank you so much for pointing that out. We'll share a link to that video in the follow-up messages. And also just really appreciate the coordination. I know your team has been on all of these trips, that you have arrangements with many of the properties. So we know that everything is well vetted and well accommodated. So appreciate your time. And if you are interested in other activities that we are hosting moving forward, whether it's with the travel program, other events, or volunteer opportunities, please feel free to visit our website at gvsu.edu/alumni, or feel free to reach out to me. Again, my name is Susan. Always happy to make sure that we're supporting your needs moving forward. I will stop recording now and we'll hang out for just a couple of moments if anyone wants to hang on and has any other questions. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing you in Ireland and Greece. So thank you so much for
Thanks,
joining
everyone.
today.